What is going on YouTube and Diablo fans? My name's Andreas, and as always, welcome back to Mana and Motherboards. Today we are going to be doing what I think is a very exciting video. We are going to be doing a last look, a last build guide of my Echoing Strike Warlock, and the other day I did a very in-depth guide. I'll put a link in the description for that video, and that was getting into the nitty-gritty of my best in slot setup and ultimate guide for the Echoing Strike Warlock, and that video ended up being about 50 minutes long, so it was very much a deep dive and going into my thoughts about this build and all of that. And I think what I should do now, and what I am going to be doing now, is a very quick, very fast, to the point guide on the Echoing Strike Warlock. And already I feel like I'm talking way too much, so let's dive right into this. So this is going to be my best in slot, all-rounder, all content, good for every aspect and every facet of the game, Echoing Strike Warlock build guide. Let's dive right into it. I'm not going to explain every decision, every choice that I made like I did in that in-depth guide. This is going to be very much to the point and very much showing you what to do without a million explanations why we are doing it. So quickly looking here at our stats. So I am a level 93 Warlock, and I don't have any points anywhere else if in the stats for the Warlock. I'm stumbling over my words there. I haven't put any points in any of the stats other than vitality. So as you can see, I have 500 points in vitality at level 93, none into your strength, none into your dex, and none into your energy. This is what you should do to be the best all-round tanky. Yes, you could put more strength or more points into strength, but honestly the little amount of damage that you get from that is not worth the investment. You're way better off putting all of your points into vitality and getting a massive life pool that we will show you just now. So then quickly jumping into the skills. So on the chaos tree we have put 1 point into sigil lethargy. This is a great 1 point wonder. It really is fantastic for the crowd control that it provides, as well as breaking physical immunes with that minus 50% to the enemy's physical resistance. So that really helps you to break physical immunes and just rip through tougher mobs such as bosses, ubers, things like that. It's just a fantastic skill, and for 1 point investment in the chaos tree, it is really fantastic. So then moving on to the Eldritch tree, which is the most important, most invested tree in this build, we will of course be maxing out Echoing Strike, which is the main attack that we are using with this build, and we will also go through, or not go through, we will also be maxing out the synergies for Echoing Strike. So 20 points into Echoing Strike, 20 points into Blade Warp, and then 20 points into Mirrored Blades. We're not going to put any points more than 1 into Levitation Mastery, because with our plus skills we get all the other bonuses we need, and 1 point is all you need here. The investment of more points into here is completely unnecessary with the gear that we have, and it's just important to max Echoing Strike and its synergies. We also, in order to get to Mirrored Blades, go through Cleave, Psychic Ward, and Eldritch Blast. We also use Psychic Ward just as an extra barrier of defense and an extra just sort of buffer against any extra damage. So that's another little defensive buff that we use. We put 1 into Hex Bane to get that minus enemy attack rating and minus enemy defense, which is just useful for our Merc and any of our other adds and summons, and also just helps us get hit less by them. It adds a little bit of damage, yes, but that is unimportant because you are already doing so much damage. You could put 1 into Hex Purge or even into Siphon if you wanted to get enemy damage reduced by 33%. You're not putting any points into these for the damage because it really is negligible compared to what you are already outputting as this Echoing Strike Warlock. All your damage is coming from here. You don't need these as extra damage skills. You can put 1 point into any of them that you like for the other sort of buffs or debuffs they provide, not for any damage or anything else. That is sort of a bit of a myth at this point in time, in my opinion, the damage that this adds to your attacks. So moving on from the Eldritch tree, in the Demon tree, we will be putting 1 point into every skill in the Demon tree so that we can get to Bind Demon and that we can get to Consume. And we only need 1 point in everything on this side of the Demon tree. All the skills on this side, we only need 1 point. Then we will put enough points into Demonic Mastery to get to level 20 with our plus to skills from our gear. And that is so that we can have 3 demons. So we'd have 1 consumed demon, 1 summoned defiler, and then our bind demon or our bound demon. The rest of our points we are going to max out Blood Oath in order to have as much of our damage transferred to our bound demon as possible, to make us as tanky as possible, so that we have a great balance between being tanky as well as outputting damage. And like I mentioned, that is the whole purpose of this build guide, and this exact setup is to be as tanky and as damaging and devastating as possible at the same time. So we are taking a balanced approach that will be devastating in all facets of content in the game and just be the best all-round Echoing Strike Warlock that we can be. So max out Blood Oath. Any of your extra points that you have from like level 90 onwards, I would suggest putting it into Consume for that extra run and walk, so that you are running around town faster and just in general being a bit more mobile, the extra life that you get from it. And honestly, these two are probably the biggest and best skill dumps in the Demon tree, in my opinion. So we're going to quickly go over the gear. This, in my opinion, is the best in slot setup for this ultimate all-round build. You could swap out some stuff, but in my opinion, bang for buck, and for doing all content with great magic find, great faster hit recovery, great faster cast rate, and just great all-round stats and just the best all-round setup, this is the gear you want. You do want an Obsession in an Eth Archon staff. You can watch my video on why I think Obsession is the best in slot weapon for the Echoing Strike Warlock. It gives you every stat imaginable that you would like. Yes, minus Deadly Strike maybe, but that's debatable. It just gives you all the great stats that you want and is just such a powerful weapon. Until Echoing Strike Warlock is nerfed, this is what I would put as your best in slot weapon. It gives you cast rate, hit recovery, skills, increased life, resistances, magic find, gold find, all the good stuff that you want, and it very importantly helps you reach that 125% faster cast rate that just makes this build feel so smooth and so optimal, in my opinion. So we've got Obsession as your weapon, we have a Harlequin Crest Shaco as your all-round best in slot helm with that protective stone that just gives you that extra damage boost, that extra magic find. It's just a great option for this helm slot, and I think that is definitely best in slot. We then have a High Lord's Wrath for that 1-to-all skill plus the Deadly Strike. The Lightning Res is also very nice. It's just in general an all-round great amulet. Then for armor, Enigma, there aren't any questions around this. Enigma is just your best in slot armor. Every stat on this piece of armor is just incredible and great for this build, and you do want it in a mage plate so that you don't have to get any extra strength points, as we showed earlier, putting all your points into vitality. So with a mage plate, just having an Annie and a torch plus maybe a little bit of strength on another charm or on a ring or something, you can use your mage plate Enigma, which in turn allows you to put no points into strength. So that is Enigma. Moving on, we then have an Ars Dul Mephistos with an Rune socketed in it for our offhand, and this is just, again, one of those great gear options that has nothing bad about it. Everything on this item is fantastic, and we specifically went with a 30% faster cast rate 1 year so that we can use other items such as Laying of Hands for our gloves to get that damage to demons without needing to put faster cast rate in this slot. And with that being said, that also allows us to run a skill ring, being Bulkathos Wedding Band, for that +1 to skill, the extra life that it gives you, as well as the life leech, which allows us to use just 1 faster cast rate ring with Mana Steel and just some nice other stats on it there. Then finally for Bolt, or almost finally, we've got an Arachnid Mesh, which is just best in slot for a caster, which this build is a caster build. And then finally for boots, we have Gore Riders, which are just best in slot in terms of damage, with that 15% deadly strike, which goes very nicely with our High Lord's Wrath. So on our offhand, we just have any old Call to Arms plus a Lidless Wall Shield, just to buff that when we are doing our buffs. And that is our gear setup. And then just for your inventory, you're going to want a Warlock Torch and Annie. Then whatever you're missing in terms of either resists or extra magic find or whatever else you want for your small charms, and then the rest will just be a Geeds and Eldritch Skillers. Now this last slot over here, this is the only item I don't have in order to complete this ultimate Echoing Strike build, and that would be the Bone Breaker Sunder Charm. Now I considered using some of my sort of wealth, if you can call it that, to purchase one of these. Honestly, at this point in time, the build is so broken and this character is so broken using Echoing Strike that Bonebreaker Sunder Charm would be a nice addition, but is completely unnecessary at the same time. So yes, to complete and round off everything that we're doing here, a Bonebreaker Sunder Charm would be great alongside these Skillers and whatever else you have going on in your inventory here, but it is unnecessary. So as you can see, we have overcapped resistances here, we are super tanky, we have about 270% magic find, which I think is the sweet spot. We have 18% physical damage reduction, we have the 90% faster hit recovery breakpoint, 120% faster cast rate breakpoint, and we are just an absolute machine, a weapon, a force of nature to be reckoned with. So we also have that 49% deadly strike here. Now lastly, just looking at our Mercenary, I'm just using an Insight Mercenary. We could swap that up for a what is it called here, a Pride Ruin Word. So we could use Pride for the concentration aura, which I think for the most part you can use this, and it is a very good option just to boost your damage even further. But just for general play and general use, I still think that an Insight just works fantastically on your Merc. It does tons of damage, gives you great quality of life with that meditation aura, and is just all around so good. So it's up to you. Use a Pride if you want to eke out or edge out a little bit of extra damage. If you don't need the extra damage, which in my opinion I don't think you do, Insight works fantastically and is such a great quality of life option. We are then using a Treachery for his armor. This, yes, you could use a Fortitude here. I don't think you're gaining anything by using a Fortitude. Treachery is just perfect. And a Vamp Gaze Helm, you could again use a a Bulwark, you could use that Cure Helm, you could use Andariel's. Keep the Merc simple. Honestly, you are so powerful, your Merc is just like an extra stat stick for you. I'm not going to get into too much details of what is best for the Merc, because you simply don't need much going on for the Merc. For the Bound Demon, I have got an Hephasto here with Cursed and Fanaticism Aura. Honestly, Fanaticism Aura and Cursed, or any of the Elemental Auras and Cursed, maybe Holy Freeze is nice for the CC, the crowd control that it does. Any of those options work. It's nice having Fanaticism and Cursed. I would also pick Holy Freeze. It's honestly whichever Hephasto is quickest to find, or whichever demon is quickest to find with Cursed and a good aura, just pick that. That is all that you need. So quickly, before we jump into buffing this character up as well as some gameplay, if you're enjoying this content and like what I've been doing in this whole streaming space of Diablo 2 Resurrected, please consider subscribing to the channel. That would be greatly appreciated. And all the likes, shares, views, all of that stuff, I really do appreciate. So thank you very much, and please consider subscribing if you haven't already. So we're going to buff the character up and do a little bit of gameplay here. Should we do Act 2? Let's do Act 4. I always seem to do Act 4, but Act 4 is just a nice one just to give you an overall sort of view on the character here. So we have terrorized Act 4. We'll go from the city here, actually, or from the Pandemonium Fortress. And yeah, I'm going to do a bit of gameplay for you here. this is Editor Andreas just quickly jumping in here to make you aware of something. So recently MacroBioBoi, that is the name, MacroBioBoi did a video on a comparison between all the top weapons for Echoing Strike and what does the most damage, because one of his previous videos didn't include all the top weapons such as Obsession. So at the end of his video, I'll put a link in the description down below for you. Basically, Obsession is just as good in terms of damage output and speed as an Fortitude in a Thundermaul, as a Ariox Needle, a Eth Ariox Needle, as an Insight, as all of the rest. And to all you naysayers out there who said, Obsession, you losing too much damage, all of this, all of that, he basically did a bunch of tests, and Obsession is as good, if not better, basically the same as an Eth Fortitude, an Insight, Breath of the Dying, a whatever. And also, ultimately, at the end of the day, you could put a 2 to 4 damage dagger in your weapon slot instead of Obsession or any of those other things, and you'd still be able to beat the whole game with Echoing Strike. It's just that overpowered and broken. So in terms of what weapon to use for Echoing Strike, just use the weapon with the most stats that benefit you, which is why I say Obsession is the best, because it just gives you all the most beneficial stats. So back to the video, to the other Andreas now. Just to show you exactly what's going on with this build. So firstly, what we're going to do is just do our battle orders and battle command on our offhand switch with that CTA. We will then put up our Hex Bane, our Psychic Ward. We'll then summon a Defiler, summon a Goatman, and consume the Goatman for that extra enhanced damage. And if we just have a look here, it says I'm doing 43k damage. That does go up once I start attacking. I don't know exactly what mechanic is sort of changing there, but once we start doing some stuff, the damage will go up a bit there. And just to show you, yes, this is only players 1, and a lot of people are probably going to complain, oh, this is only players 1 difficulty, it doesn't show players 3, whatever the case. Honestly, this build is so powerful and so broken, whether you're playing players 1, players 3, players 8, it doesn't matter. You are just so strong and you are so tough. Look, the life pool is at 4,365. That's why I think putting all your points into Vitality is the go for this build, because you have such a balance of one-shotting every monster in front of you, as well as being able to teleport into a Fanatic. I mean, look, just this pack, you can teleport into the middle of them, and they do basically nothing. It's level 95 Terrorize Zone here, and the monsters don't seem to do anything to you. Let's just check out this Cryptic Axe. Is it Eth? No, it's not. Anyway, having such a balance on this build is really its true strength and power, in my opinion. It is so incredibly tanky, it is so incredibly damaging, and outputting such a high level of damage. And whilst I talk, I always seem to stumble a bit in how I'm playing, so I'll shut up in a little bit and just show you some gameplay. But basically, this build is just such an incredible all-rounder that you don't need to over-invest and do overkill amounts of damage, which seems to be everyone's go-to when I read the comments of my videos, as well as watching some other videos, and that everyone wants to sort of push out the most damage they can where it's really unnecessary. Cool, green Sacred Armor, that's a nice Immortal King find there. I think that's a new Chronicle item for me, actually. There we go, Immortal King Soul Cage. I wish that was Teriel's. Yeah, so everyone tries to get so much damage. You can see here I'm on 61k damage. And 61k damage, everything around you just absolutely melts. Like, you can basically one-shot act bosses, like 1 or 2 shots. And all these demons, all these enemies in front of you, I mean, look at Izuel, one shot, just absolutely slain. Like, this build is broken, and if you like capitalizing on broken builds, then yeah, this is definitely what you should be going for. There are so many people who are doing sheep damage of like 300k or 200k or whatever the case is, and yeah, that looks very cool, but is actually completely unnecessary. And that is, again, I feel like I'm explaining myself too much in this video, and I don't want to make this video too long. Just trust me when I say this setup of 125% faster cast rate with the exact items that I have suggested, with the magic find that you're getting, with the life pool that you have. I'll just buff up again here. I'll quickly do a chaos run for us. And just the combination of utility, also having that merc with insight, all of this just culminates in the most well-rounded character in terms of damage and toughness and quality of life, ease of use, ease of playing. It's just an all-round powerhouse. It is such an incredibly broken and well sort of, well, not well, just broken build. It's if Blizzard decide to not change this build at all, then we are looking at the dawn of a new Mosaic Assassin, and I don't like that at all. And I do hope that some buffs, or not some buffs, some nerfs are incoming for the Warlock. But at this current state, if you want to play the most powerful build in the game, this is it, and I think this is the ideal and best setup to do so. So I'll just quickly do this chaos run here and sort of end off the video with this chaos run. And the next thing that I'm thinking of doing in terms of content for the channel is I would like to do a video on what changes I would like to see and do with the Warlock in order to balance it. Because there are some aspects of the Warlock that make it incredibly unbalanced in my opinion, such as some of the skills like Bound Demon, Echoing Strike, all of those sorts of things. And I believe there are some good changes that we could do that would make the Warlock just fit in better in the current sort of state of the game and meta. And with that being said, I'd also like to do a bit of an overview of Reign of the Warlock, what I've thought so far about Reign of the Warlock, and some of the changes that have been good and bad. And I must say that Sweet Phil has done some fantastic videos recently. There was a Herald, I think he might be dead already, don't even know. Sweet Phil has done some fantastic videos recently on Diablo 2 Resurrected and what is good, what is bad. I know Mr. Llama also did a reaction video to Sweet Phil, and he hit the nail on the head with quite a few of the things that are both good and bad in this game, as well as changes to be made to the Warlock. So I'd kind of like to throw my hat in the ring there and give my opinion on that matter as well. And please let me know in the comments below if that's something that you would also like to see. And I don't think I've done the Echoing Strike Warlock justice in the gameplay I've been showing, because I'm talking, I'm sort of mindlessly playing here, but as you can see, just everything melts in front of you. There is no competition from anything that stands in your way. So here's Diablo. We'll put down a sigil, we'll hit him in 2 shots, 1 shot, and he is gone. So guys, that's wrapping up this video. I hope I didn't make it too long again. Maybe I did. I tend to yap, I tend to blabber, I tend to say a lot, even right now. So what can I say? This is the build you should be doing for the season before they hit you with those fat nerfs. This is the build that we should all be taking advantage of at the moment. And in all of that being said, it's one of the things I most dislike about the game at the moment, is this unbalance towards Echoing Strike Warlock. And with that in mind, I'm actually gonna switch up and play a Abyss Warlock at the moment, or not at the moment, next. So stay tuned for that, and thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. We would really appreciate that, and I really appreciate you watching this far into the video. Definitely stay tuned. I'll catch you again soon for some more Mana and Motherboards. Cheers!